I think for today, we are going to look at, first of all, we have three things to look at. The first one is artificial intelligence and religion. So mine actually will be called Gods in the Machine. That's my title. And then we are going to look at the social justice, in our world today. And then there is one which was suggested a few days ago. We look at regular, Christians or regular Adventist Christians, so we can look at that as well. Now, Gods in the Machine. There's actually a rise of artificial intelligence, in the world today. And the more worrying one is actually where AI-powered, our religion is now trying, actually taking shape. It's creating a sect on its own, where many, they actually have got a very big following. I was just checking recently. The following is actually gaining momentum. So it's a little bit worrying because this is actually a man-made, type of religion. And as we are aware, AI is somebody else's brains. And this brain, this machine can actually, it's like garbage in, garbage out. So whatever the owner who develops this machine, actually this machine AI thinks, he can actually develop in a way, what he thinks, and in the end, the followers actually think what the originator actually want to direct and take the people to. So that's a little bit very high risk, So this is actually raising a lot of concerns, particularly within the Christian world that is there, because in the end, this religion, they can actually dictate to go against God. Like somebody said, the greatest danger today in the Christian world is actually the Christians themselves. Mixed. There's a lot of mixture of a mixture of things that actually, the truth is very difficult actually to find the truth in these days. So the separation between truth and error is blurred, in a way that you can't. It's very difficult, So because of this, and I think there's somewhere in the Bible where it says, I can't remember the verse very well, where it says wickedness actually will increase in the world. I think it's in the 2 Timothy 16, I think, somewhere there. Wickedness actually increase in the world so much that people who actually who actually follow false religion, So this is actually what is worrying me. People have no longer stopped. People have actually stopped thinking these days. And that's why we are seeing the rise of artificial intelligence to help people think. Because like in the industry itself, we are using a lot of AI because we are finding it difficult actually for human beings to do certain simple tasks, So we can see it actually coming in the church as well, So somebody's taking advantage of this. Now, I want to look at, I think, about 5 risks that I think are a little bit of, a concern to me when it comes to AI, religion, Now, the first one is actually, it displays a level of intelligence that goes beyond that of most humans, So I've got Theo here. He's just jumped in my room, Hi, Theo.
Maybe he's got something to contribute to the topic.
Go and sleep. Say hi. Hi. Okay, go and sleep with grandma, okay? Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, so, like I was saying, a lot of people are becoming very, I don't know whether say there's a demon that is going around the world these days, a lot of people actually stopped thinking using their brains. So AI is actually raising because of this type of environment where people no longer use their brains. They don't think outside the box to solve certain simple and straightforward problems. So then there's also it's capable of a great feast of creativity. It can write poetry, compose music, and generate art in almost any style. So this is what the AI can do as well. We'll be able to compose. People are able to compose their own music. Christian music can be composed now using artificial intelligence. And then also there's the third one is actually it is removed from the normal human concerns and needs. It does not suffer physical pain, hunger, or sexual desire. So, recently there was a church ceremony that was conducted in Germany where the AI was actually the main preacher, and even the deacons were also AI guys. The deacons. They were unbelievable. And after the sermon, which took about an hour, after the sermon, some journalists actually went there to go and ask those who are coming out of the church, or the AI church, So one of the concerns they raised actually they said it doesn't actually have the emotions, that you get from a real preacher, There's no emotion, and then there's no compassion as such, So those are some of the dangers that exist, And then the other one is actually it can offer guidance to people in their daily lives, So AI will be able to direct you as an individual to guide you in your sphere of life, whatever you want to do, So that's a danger because us as believers, as Christians, we are looking at God, particularly the Bible, as the guidance to our lives, So now, because this AI, as it's actually developed by human beings, somebody will come in and program it in a way where he wants, like how he wants to guide people, without really considering what God has said in what the Bible says, And the last one is actually it is immortal as well, So maybe we can have a few minutes maybe to discuss these few points, particularly regarding my concern with the artificial intelligence in the religious sphere. It's a little bit of my concern as at now because a lot of people will be lost because they don't probably follow the Bible. Compare what the Bible says. We are online, most of us these days, and would rather probably follow what others are saying. Yeah. So, any comments before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I think this is quite a very interesting and deep topic, to be honest. But as a phenomenon, it's not really new, right? In the sense, if you recall, a few years ago, there was the rise of the church Scientology. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that was, I might be paraphrasing here, but that was the whole basis of it was based off a fiction book. And then it morphed and turned into a religion, and that's very prominent even to this day, right? Within its teachings and in everything else. So what AI is doing is a step ahead of that, right? In terms of the ability to use information, to have actually in terms of penetrating a larger audience than probably what the Scientology religion could do, which is even more alarming. And I think for me, what's even more scary is when we talk about, I think it's always important to define what artificial intelligence is, and I think you did that in the beginning, because what artificial intelligence is looking at is most of the times it's a data set, right? It's looking at data, and there's an algorithm behind that's looking to learn and understand what that data is saying. And there's been known to be bias based on who's programming, who's developing that particular AI or particular algorithm. I give you a practical example. where I used to work beforehand, it was I worked in the field of video technology, right?
Mm.
There was a lot of AI around video, understanding video, being able to pick up certain aspects of certain video and read and define what certain things are happening within a particular scene of any particular video.
Mm.
And there was a huge uproar, especially in the last few years, because most of it was biased to people of color, right? So, for instance, they could identify, instead of identifying someone, a male black person, as a male black person, it would identify as potentially a dog or something like that, because the people behind it, they designed it, in the data set that was used, they were using predominantly was Caucasian as a preset of a data set. So that is the fear. If anything, my greatest fear in life is always, if a human being is behind something,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's always an element of bias that exists in order, whether it's
Exactly.
or not, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The intentions, and there's a huge number of people will be vulnerable to that information, and this has been proven so more in social media, the use of social media or social platforms like Instagram or Twitter, which is now X, or TikTok, right? If you scroll something, then the algorithm is looking into what you're doing, then it starts posting. Let's say, for instance, if you click and watch a video of something that's negative, all of a sudden your timeline is flooded by everything negative, right? And there's been concerns about parents raising issues around kids that are vulnerable, in terms of they start getting trapped in a world where they're just bombarded with negative information that potentially could lead to suicide. So now when we tap that into something as sensitive and as sensitive like Christianity, you know, it's really it's a sensitive topic, and I think it's something that we really need to take a step back and have conversations like this, challenge each other to really understand what that artificial intelligence is, and its role. Like you said, there's that lack of empathy, lack of emotion that doesn't exist. And biblically, when you look at it and you understand how Jesus came to be with us, right, to walk the earth, so that then you could die for our sins, and then we can know and identify, oh no, this is Christ, because he came and walked the same path as we did.
Indeed,
right?
yeah.
It was that to show us that he was with us. Now, when you replace that with an artificial intelligence, and it's a really tricky space to be in, on top of everything that we're facing in this modern day and age. And I just think with this, just another layer that's just really going to challenge us as Christians on how to really maneuver. That's just my initial thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. My approach to it generally, artificial intelligence, as the name says, artificial, but it's there to enhance rather than to be the main source of information in whatever field, really. So the danger comes in when it becomes your main
The
source
norm.
of information, and when you don't have background information, when you don't have a solid foundation of the subject that you're dealing with, it's risky to take whatever is coming out of artificial intelligence as gospel. Even when you use ChatGPT, for example, you can ask us to draft something for you. You still have to go back and say, I'll correct 1, 2, 3 things, only because it's just helping you bring together data from like so many different sources that would have probably taken you years to bring together. So it's useful. It's useful in that it enhances and makes things quicker. I'm not a writer myself, and ChatGPT has been such a blessing to me. So
Don't write the same one out of it.
I know someone who tried actually, and it even had an altar call at the end of it. But like you're saying, it's something that you then need to go back and cross-check and now compare with the knowledge that you have, whether it's marrying up, whether it links to that base of knowledge that you have. And so with things that are critical, say in engineering systems and everything like that, you still have to have that human factor that goes into check and make sure that, okay, what has been done here is actually right. So same thing now when we're dealing with things like Christianity and our beliefs, they are so critical to us that we cannot just sit back and depend on, artificial intelligence to give us all the information we need. We've got to use it to enhance, for example, simple algorithms like searching. I'm looking for a verse, I can't remember where it comes from. Yeah, you can quickly, search and you find your verse and get it. That's just a very simple example. It can do more complex stuff, but the basic thing is you should go back and check and confirm with, the facts that you already have.
Exactly.
That's an interesting thinking, but the challenge there becomes that in the absence of regulation, right? And that's self-discipline, right? You're talking from your perspective because I guess you've got that discipline to be like, okay, this is the parameters I'm going to use this particular tool to. But then when you look at the vast majority of people out there, once again, this is something that's just evolving and happening right in front of our eyes. So we don't have enough information to really comment exclusively, extensively on the subject. But when you look at something that we can comment on, which is i.e. social media, right? And the rise of fake news and all these things, and this, it's a phenomenon on its own, right? When you're talking about someone can craft a story, say Prospect was at the scene of this, then he did ABCD, is now a wanted person, and that can go viral across the world, right? With even to the point of actually creating a video placing you at the scene.
Oh yes,
right?
Yes.
And that going viral, and people actually believing it. Your mother calling you saying, "I've seen you on the videos. You're all over the news. What's going on?" But this is something that never even appeared, right? And this is happening in the social media sphere. We saw this happening with the U.S. elections when Trump initially won, right? That spread of fake news and everything else to the point that it actually impacted the U.S. election for that year. So now it just becomes a bit scary that some people might be a bit vulnerable. Some people's use of technology might be a bit limited, and not everyone can decipher and say, okay, look, this is as far as I can go. I still need to have that base. Some people actually dive in head in first and like, this is also it becomes, what you call it, what's the best way to put it, it becomes gospel, right? Because it's right in front of their eyes, it's being generated, so which means it's true, right? So that's the bit now that becomes really challenging as a faith, and it becomes more tricky. Not everyone is going to have the discipline, not everyone is going to have the principles, and not everyone is going to have the foundation and understanding of what technology is and the ability to question it, right? And I don't think this is, like I said, it's not a new fight. It's been happening for centuries. Because there would have been people publishing books challenging the Christian world or putting it from a different point of view. But at that time, because you publish a book, there was a limitation in terms of circulation, and everything else. And there were people either who were really well funded within the church, Christianity religion, who would challenge those principles and those understandings. But now everyone has got a phone, everyone has got a laptop. It's easy to connect to the internet. Just connect on an app, and all these tools that we're talking about are available for free most of the time. So accessibility has made it available for everyone, which means anything negative can just spread like a wildfire. Than it would have done centuries ago. So it becomes really, it's a muddy place to be in. It's a really difficult place to be in, and I don't think anyone at this point can come up with a solution, but it's it's, I guess what you just said, Prospect, is how do we lay those key principles and foundations in all of us to say, okay, look, you really need to understand what you're dealing with, but at the same time, you need to have key principles that are they're in the Bible, right?
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Even in the face of when you're facing technology, how many times have all of you, someone said, there's an earthquake that's happened in Zambia, 300,000 people have died. It's something coming through WhatsApp, right? And those people, like, and I go in the rural areas, they take that and they believe that.
Yeah.
Because it's on WhatsApp, it's written, it's there, it says BBC is there. But it's not factual, it's fake news.
Yeah.
So now it's that balance that is really tricky.
Yeah, so this is a very wide topic, actually. I think this is not the first time to discuss it. We might actually, from time to time, bring in this because it's one of the live issues now.
Yeah,
AI is big thing at the moment, you know. So we'll come back to it at some point. I think we can move on to the next topic, you know, which is social justice, you know.